I've been talking about this deck with locals for months, and now it's finally here. What's good, YouTube? Welcome back to the Goon Squad. Today we are covering Goodra VSTAR by popular request, and taking a look at all of the silly things it can do out of Lost Origin. So if you enjoy the content, hit that like button. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so. We're trying to hit 1,000 subs by the end of the year. And drop me a comment below what you would change, what you think of Goodra, and what you're excited for with Lost Origin. So with that said, let's dive right in. So we've got 4 copies of the new Goodra. It's a 220 hit point Dragon V Pokemon. So it has no weakness, gives up 2 prizes when knocked out, and has 2 interesting attacks. Toppling Goo. This does 60 damage, and your opponent switches their active with their bench. So it's an escape rope. And Shell Rollout for a water, metal, colorless does 140, and it takes 30 less damage from attacks next turn. So this is interesting in the mid game or in a pinch and we're trying to reestablish, but Goodra V is not why we're excited for this card. It's not why I've had questions on questions of how I think it should be built. The reason why we're playing it though is for Goodra VSTAR. So this is one of the more interesting V-Stars out of Lost Origin. So Goodra has 270 hit points. It's a dragon Pokemon, so it has no weakness. Very, very good. The 3 retreat cost does hurt it a little bit, but that's okay. The rest of the card makes up for it. So for a water, metal, and colorless, it does 200 damage and takes 80 damage less from attacks the following turn. It says after applying weakness and resistance. You don't have weakness, so I just kind of skip over that part in this card. But the V-Star power says during your turn, you may heal all damage from this Pokemon. So assuming they get, a big hit like Palkia caps out at 260, no belt, or something hits you for, 250, you can just say, you know what, flip my V-Star power. Let's make you do it again. So Goodra has its healing built in. We don't have to hunt hyper potions. We don't have to, hunt anything in particular. It's a very, very good card. But again, so the idea is to build a very big Goodra, or to build one that sustains, one that your opponent has to burn resources to get through. And then you slap another one in the active and be like, do it again. And some people just throw their hands up and go, you know what? You win. I'm done. It's Duraludon, but more annoying. Okay, and what makes this card, and a lot of cards going forward, very interesting, is the new Comfey. So we're playing 4 of. So, oh my goodness. We're playing 4 of the new Comfey for its flower picking. Ignore everything else on the card, just flower picking. Once during your turn, if this Pokemon is in the active, look at the top 2 cards. Pick one, so it's a draw. Put the other in the Lost Zone. The Lost Zone is a very, very useful mechanic now because of the cards that go with this. Comfey just accelerates requirements beyond. Comfey is the best card out of Lost Origin, and there's no argument for anything else. Comfey turns a mediocre mechanic into a viable engine for many tier 1 decks. Or tier 2 decks. It's that good. And then of course we've got 3 support Pokemon. So we've got Oranguru. So you know how you're blindly sending one card into the Lost Zone? Oranguru can take a bad card out of your hand, put it on the top, then you look at both cards. You can throw away that bad card, or you can keep it if the card underneath it is even worse. So Oranguru allows us to fix a flower picking. We're playing 1 copy of Amazing Rare Kyogre. So for water, lightning, metal, colorless, this does 80 to all of your opponent's Pokemon. So Kyogre is more or less there for those 1-prizers or for anything that we need to finish off. Because Goodra's hitting for 280, Amazing Surge hits for 80, so Charmed, Amazing Surge, and Iron Rollout will take your V-Stars. So it's very relevant numbers with Kyogre, and it's one of my favorite, if not my favorite, Amazing Rare to play. And last but not least, we have Radiant Gardevoir. So Devotion Veil, all of your Pokemon take 20 less damage from your opponent's Pokemon V. So I went with this one. I will explain some suggestions if you don't like Gardevoir, but it's to protect us in the early stages of the game to get and evolved. That's the key reason why they're on there. And we're gonna try to jump through. We're playing 4 of the new Mirage Gate. So Mirage Gate says if you have 7 cards in the Lost Zone, oh, Comfey synergy right there. Search your deck for up to 2 basic energy of different types and put them on your Pokemon in any way you like. So that fulfills Goodra. That is accelerated by Comfey. you can see a Mirage Gate as early as turn 2. I bet you there will be ballistics down the line that will get Mirage Gate turn 1. They will find a way. There are very resourceful people who love to take things turbo and then turn that on its head. But we are playing as part of the Lost Engine for scoop up nets. So put a Pokemon that isn't a Pokemon V or GX into your hand. So everything but Goodra in this deck gets picked up. So it's flower picking, scoop up net, flower picking, scoop up net, flower picking. Probably already have 3 cards in the Lost Zone already. Perfect. And then we're going to jump right into how we're going to search our Pokemon out. So we're playing 4 copies of Quick Ball. So discard a card from your hand and search for a basic Pokemon. Would you look at that? Everything that's not Goodra VSTAR can be searched off of this card. Very, very good. 3 copies of Ultra Ball. Now this is where I kind of deviated. So you could play Evolution Incense to search for an evolution Pokemon, or you can play this to essentially have 7 Quick Balls in your deck. And then if you need them to grab that 1 or 2 V-Stars. But it's more live in the early turns. So there might be cards we don't need anymore, or we have too many Comfeys in our hand, or so on and so forth. Essentially, Ultra Ball just gives us more outs to those Vs in the early stages of the game. And now we're going to jump into some more stuff. So we're playing 2 copies of Big Charm. Don't worry, if you don't agree with any of my card choices, I have suggestions towards the end of the video if you want to stick around. So it gives us an additional 30 health. So 30 health, 80 damage reduction, 20 less from Pokemon V, and there's another card in the deck to reduce damage. Goodra's going to be very thick. Yeah. 2 ordinary rods. So shuffle up to 2 Pokemon, or choose 1 or both. Shuffle up to 2 Pokemon or 2 basic energy and put them back in your deck. They knock out a Goodra, we're putting cards back, we're putting energy back. We're also not afraid to discard with Ultra Ball in this deck, which is why I opted to play the Ultra Ball, is I was going to play rods anyway. We're going to play 2 Switch. We just need some movement. You might want a higher count, that's okay. And 1 Air Balloon. So Air Balloon reduces the retreat cost of everything by 2. So everything except for Goodra V and V-Star have free retreat in the deck. Very, very good. We'll talk about changes down the line. And right now, we're going to jump into probably one of the top 5 cards in the set in Korvus' Experiment. So it's another Lost Zone card. So if you look at the top 5 cards of your deck and put 3 of them into your hand and put the remaining 2 in the Lost Zone. So a couple Comfeys and a Korvus early, you can see 4 or 5 cards in the Lost Zone if you go second on your first turn. So that's not too bad. And then, you know, the second turn, Comfey here, Comfey there, or another Korvus. But essentially we're tutoring out, we're picking cards off the top of our deck, and then we're sending them away. And we can also use Primate Wisdom to manipulate the cards we're sending to the Lost Zone. So it's very, very useful. Korvus is a very good card you'll see a lot of, along with Comfey and Mirage Gate, so just keep that in mind. Some more cards to take advantage of the Lost Zone. We are playing Fantina, and this is where Goodra gets silly. So you can only play this card if you have 10 or more cards in the Lost Zone. So doesn't seem too daunting now. We've already shown ways that we're going to be getting that in. So this will be like a turn, rarely turn 2, but mostly turn 3 kind of card onwards. During your opponent's next turn, your Pokemon take 120 less damage from the attacks of your opponent's Pokemon V. So you're essentially wiping away between Goodra and Gardevoir up to 220 damage from their attacks. And then you're throwing in a Big Charm. It just gets really silly. And that even protects your Kyogres, giving them 240 health, or Gardevoir 250. Even your Comfeys have 190 health now, or effectively. So Fantina is just one of those cards that's going to help Goodra stay. It's going to be very tough to take down with a Fantina in play. We're going to play 2 copies of Marnie. So each player shuffles their hand and puts it onto the bottom. If you played the card, draw 5. Your opponent draws 4. So it's just shuffling. There will be turns we don't want to play Korvus, or we don't have Fantina, or we don't want to play Fantina. And Marnie just keeps your opponent from building a fat hand. Otherwise, they're looking at half their deck going, he's not going to mess with me. But Marnie is just there to disrupt the combo pieces. 1 copy of the new Thornton. So choose a basic Pokemon from your discard pile, switch it with one of your Pokemon already in play. Any attached cards, damage counters, special conditions, turns in play, and other effects remain on the new Pokemon. So if you had a Comfey down turn 1, you pass it over to your opponent, they knock out a Goodra, and you're like, oh snap, I don't have any Pokemon V in play. I guess I lose. Well, not with Thornton. So Thornton will let you turn that Comfey into Goodra, and because Comfey had 1 turn in play, the new Goodra will take that 1 turn in play and will be allowed to evolve immediately into a Goodra VSTAR. So just when you think you're out of the game, you're not. Goodra VSTAR is, this is a very good card for Goodra. It's going to be a very good card for a lot of decks. You're not worried about the turn 2 boss as much if you're playing Thornton. So that's probably where I'm a big fan on it, and I'd say it's in the top 3 for best cards in the set. 2 copies of Crystal Cave. You can play Cave. You can play Training Court. You can play anything. Pick a stadium. You need Goodra's V-Star power, so you will have to play stadiums to bump Path to the Peak. Otherwise, this deck does not do anything. So heal 30 damage from your Dragon or Metal Pokemon. So it's healing Goodra and only Goodra, and it does 30 every turn. So the idea is to try to make the numbers as awkward as possible. So an effective Fantina with an attack, 220 damage reduction. They might only get 50 damage in. Then you heal 30 of it. Your opponent might scoop there too. Like, oh, I'm not going to get through that. I got to hope they miss, something like that. And 2 Fantinas is usually enough to just kind of give you enough of a lead that you can take advantage. And for our energy count, we're playing 5 metal because it's part of the Goodra attack. And we're playing 5 water, Goodra attack, and 2 lightning because it's in the Kyogre attack. So now's part of the video where I'm going to talk about some changes because I, myself, am not a perfect deck builder, and I'm happy to make changes where I see fit and some preferences. So Kyogre and the Lightning Energy could easily become the new Sableye, posted on the screen, and 2 Psychic Energy. So if you want to pepper in damage late game, or if you want to spread damage with Kyogre, all depends on how you think Manaphy's going to fare in this next format. Some people play Lost City and just completely wipe away the viability of Manaphy. Oh no, I'm going to play it and they'll knock it out and then it won't really do anything. So that would be the first change. I'm going to make a case for Radiant Greninja. So Radiant Greninja could slot in for Radiant Gardevoir. Say you're like, the extra 20 reduction is not going to make a difference. Whatever, I'm going to go for the draw. So Greninja can attack off of Mirage Gate because we play water energy. So you go Mirage Gate, water plus something, attach water from hand. Moonlight Shuriken is also a double 90. So say Kyogre is a little more difficult to reach. We do have Greninja as well. That's a big change. The Air Balloon for a 3rd switch would be another one. Some people would like to see a 2nd Thornton or a Roxanne in here. So you could cut a Marnie for a Roxanne. You could even cut back on an Ultra Ball. An Ultra Ball is a free slot as well. I will say that you want to keep your ordinary rods because cards for Mirage Gate, like Mirage Gate needs the cards to be in your deck in order to accelerate the energy. So if you have a bad hand where you open, say 3 or 4 energy, they can never be put in with Mirage Gate. At least playing the rods, you have a chance to get them on the board through that amazing item card. But yeah, so Goodra, it looks to be the best tank coming out of the set and probably the best tank in format. Sorry Stonejourner, sorry Duraludon, not really sorry. But yeah, it's one of the decks I'm going to be working on over the weekend. So if you stuck around until the end, I just want to say thank you. Hope you have fun with Lost Origin, and until next time, take care.